mouths, don't get fed. Smile more, talk less. Closed mouths, don't get fed. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So before we get started, remember to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you see that every time that I post. If you like the content, give this video a thumbs up, and anything you would like to add, feel free to do so down below in the comment section. So I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm still going to be reviewing shows when I can, but it's kind of hard for me to do it throughout the week because of work. So what I'm going to start doing is a segment here on my channel where I watch certain things for the first time, more like cult classics or movies that are very popular that I have not seen. I am starting, of course, with Hamilton. So this is my background on Hamilton. I know nothing of Hamilton except for my sister's played the playlist in my house a couple times when she's come by, and I've been like, oh, what is that? And she was like, oh, this is the playlist, or the soundtrack, excuse me, from Hamilton. And then like she gave me like, oh, it's a play on Hamilton's life, but it was written by a writer who wanted the cast to be everything but white. And I was like, oh, okay. And so when I found out it was going to be on Disney Plus, of course she was like, oh, you need to watch it. Now my relationship with musicals, I love them. My top 3 movies are Selena, Grease, and Dirty Dancing. As you can see, a lot of dancing, a lot of singing. That's what I like. So I was like, okay, musical, I think I will like this. So just from the overall thing, when they first started and they started singing, I was like, oh, the singing's good, you know, it's great, whatever. But then they kept singing, and I was like, oh, this is different. I have never seen this before. You know, it's normally a song, a lot of acting, a song, a lot of acting. I was like, they sung from beginning to end. I was like, oh, this is the first time I've ever seen anything like that done. It was okay once I watched it the second time. The first time, I was a little annoyed. I was like, okay, I need somebody, because I don't know, I guess it took us just a second for my brain to like catch on to like what was going on, because I'd never seen that before. As far as like the setup, I like the fact that the stage moved. Like the stage itself, there were different parts of the floor that they could turn and move, like in what is that, Satisfied, when Hamilton goes from holding Angelica's hand to then the stage rotating to him holding Eliza's hand. I was like, ooh, that was amazing, that was good, I liked it. I think there was one more time where like, or a couple more times where like they moved the props around and stuff on the stage. So I really did like the setup of that, like being able to see things move. So let's get into the characters. I'm only gonna talk about 4 with, I think I have 2 honorable mentions at the end. I'll know when I see it in my notes. Okay, we're gonna start with Mr. Aaron Burr, Mr. Jealousy, Mr. Chip on his shoulder. Okay. So, like I said, when Alexander Hamilton, which is the opening song for the play, starts, Aaron Burr is the first one to come out and sing. And basically what Aaron Burr was saying was, how could this poor boy from the Caribbean come over here? His mother was a whore. We all know that's the end all be all. Come over here and become a hero. He was a scholar. How could these things happen? How could luck and God be on his side, right? I was like, okay, I see you. You don't like him. Then he came back and was like, I was the fool that shot him. I was like, oh, you shot him? I was like, okay. So I already know to keep my eyes on you throughout this whole play. Burr himself, he was a prodigy. He graduated from Princeton in 2 years. Hamilton actually went and sought him out because he really wanted to learn from him. How did you get through school in 2 years? How could I be more like you? But oh, will those tables turn? Burr gave the advice of smile more, talk less. Clearly that didn't work for him. And he was trying to figure out how in the world is Hamilton out here doing all this chit-chatting, spouting off out the mouth, loud in every room that he enters. And basically getting to places that I want to be in life. How is he getting there? Because I'm out here smiling, shaking hands, kissing on babies. Not really, but you know the whole thing. That's how you're relatable. And we could say Mr. Burr is the father of being relatable. He thought that was gonna get him somewhere in life, and it did not. Now, Alexander said, I'm not doing that. Alexander said, when I enter the room, they gonna know I'm in the room. When I enter the room, they gonna be like, who is that over there talking? They gonna come and see about me, because I'm coming to see about them. I was like, okay. Hamilton said, I'm not gonna miss my shot. I was like, okay, sir, don't miss your shot. Don't miss your shot. Now, Burr spent a lot of his time in Alexander's shadow, whether it came to being the right-hand man to George Washington during the Revolution. Then it came to, after that happened, Alexander was a lawyer as well as Burr. They were right next door to each other. And just for video's sake, I'm speaking directly off knowledge from this play. I'm not actually going off of the truths of history. I'm speaking on the truths of what I got from this play, okay? So they were right next to each other. Alexander did better as far as a lawyer, but still there were people who did not like Alexander, right? Alexander was able to marry a Schuyler sister whose status was very up there at the top, who we will discuss later. He was able to do that even though Burr had his eye on Miss Angelica, the oldest Schuyler sister, did not get that. What Burr got was a married woman who belonged to someone else. But, and then Miss Theodosia bore him a child, a daughter, but that wouldn't be a child that he would be able to see and raise himself because she was married to someone else. So, I'm pretty sure Burr felt slighted in life compared to Hamilton, this man who came, like I said, from nowhere, out of nowhere. He was an orphan, and he came over and he was able to pull himself up by his bootstraps, and he was able to accomplish all these things in life. And Burr was right there on his heels, but wasn't doing as great. And of course, Burr said, okay, let me tell you something. It ain't gonna be too much more of that. You're not gonna keep playing in my face. I'm out here seeing you get this accolade and this accolade, and I'm doing the exact same thing, but ain't nobody out here seeing it for me. He said he was trying to keep his ideals to himself until he got to where he wanted to be. He was waiting for it, right? Burr had a legacy to protect, whereas Hamilton was trying to build a legacy. So Burr, in his eyes, felt like he couldn't make a mistake, right? Okay, so first, Burr takes the seat, takes the Democratic seat away from Hamilton's, well, not away, but anyway, he takes the seat away from Hamilton's father-in-law, right? Second, he teams up with Madison and Jefferson to basically out Hamilton, who ended up really outing himself. Only for them, Madison and Jefferson, to turn right back around and team right back up with Hamilton for Jefferson to win the presidency running against Burr. So now we are really hot and bothered now, right? So now we're really hot and bothered. So Burr is like, all right, that's it. I'm fed up. He writes to Hamilton. He's like, ever since I met you, it had been nice. You always in my way. I want you to move. Hamilton said, you don't stand for nothing. Don't nobody know what you stand for. Closed mouths don't get fed. You out here trying to be relatable, kissing on babies, and we don't know what you're going to do with this country. So Burr said, all right, pull up. So Burr and Hamilton had a duel. Hamilton got himself killed the same way he got his son killed, right? His oldest son. Same way he got his oldest son killed. He shot in the air thinking that Burr was going to be an upstanding gentleman. Burr was overtied and through with it by then. He wasn't trying to do none of that, be none of that, right? So he killed him, and in thus killing Hamilton, that was his biggest mistake and ruined his legacy. His parents died. They left him some money. He had this legacy to uphold. And with one shot of a bullet, honey, that was gone. Gone, gone, gone. Now, moving on to the next character, the wife of Hamilton, who was upset, poor thing, when Hamilton got shot. So, Eliza, Miss Eliza Schuyler, the middle, Schuyler sister, right? Eliza was kind-hearted, sweet, caring. Eliza sung two of my favorite songs. She sung Helpless and she sung Burn, honey. It's one more that somebody sung, and I'm gonna tell y'all about that in a minute. But she sung those two songs, and the whole time I was like, poor thing, because all Eliza wanted was for Alexander to love her back. That's all she wanted. She just wanted that man to love her back. She was there to believe in him, be his backbone, uplift him, encourage him, be everything that he needed. And all she asked for in return was to be loved, and to be loved only by him, honey, or for him to only love her, honey. But we're going to get into that. Yes, we are. Now, she was doomed from the beginning. She was doomed from the beginning because the person who introduced her to Alexander, which we'll discuss in just a moment, the person who introduced them was a snake in the grass, and y'all already know who I'm talking about, but it was a snake in the grass. So that whole relationship was set up on lies. Lies, lies, lies. Now, I won't even talk about it right now. I'll talk about it in the end. Now, Eliza had to beg her husband, really to, pay attention to not only her, but to his son, who he claimed he loved in the play, honey. He was out here, him and Burr, half on the stage singing to their newborn children, but I couldn't tell. Eliza went through a lot. She was cheated on more than once in different ways. And then she lost her oldest son kind of by the hands of her husband, honey, who low-key fed him to the wolves. I mean, I wonder if she was told that. And even in Hamilton dying, Eliza still carried on his legacy that he was trying to build. Eliza, she strived for all the things that he was trying to do. She spoke up about slavery. She spoke up. She helped raise money for, what was that? I think they said the Washington Monument. And then she also opened up an orphanage and helped, raise orphan children, knowing that her husband was an orphan. But she did all these things in love of a man who ain't do nothing but scorn her, honey. And that's why I just say, rest in peace, her poor little soul, honey, because she just wanted to be loved, and she didn't really get that. I mean, she got it, but it was after the cheatation, so I mean, it was kind of late then. Now, Eliza, to begin with, was swept off her feet in lies, honey, by Alexander, along with her older sister, Angelica. Yes, let's discuss Miss Angelica. The oldest, actually, Schuyler sister. Their father had no sons. Angelica introduced Eliza and Hamilton to each other. But before that happened, Angelica actually already had her eye on Hamilton. Hamilton, however, was penniless. He had nothing to his name. Angelica knew that her name held weight. She came from a wealthy family. And Hamilton was definitely going to use that name to progress his status in life, right? So, also being the oldest daughter, her father not having any sons, it was her duty to per se protect the family name. She couldn't marry some penniless man. She had to marry into wealth. So she essentially gave the man that she loved to her sister. We can argue that Angelica set Eliza up. I would like to believe that Angelica only gave Hamilton to Eliza because she knew that Eliza was kind-hearted, like she said, and would fall in love with Hamilton real quick, but she could still dig her claws into Hamilton, which is basically what happened, because when Angelica left and went over across I think Angelica moved to England, if I'm not mistaken, but she went across the water somewhere from America, and she had married a wealthy man, and her and Hamilton were sending back letters. That is a form of cheating because those letters were very intimate. She was able to have the man that she wanted, even though she couldn't have him the way she wanted to have him, but he was still close enough for her to still be able to see him and, you know, talk to him and stuff like that. And honey, when Eliza went in there that night, first of all, it was on their son's 9th birthday. He was in there writing a letter to Angelica. I was like, look at this. So, oh, I do want to commend Angelica, however, though, on being a progressive woman at that time in the late 1700s, because when they had went down, to, the slums, she had said that if she met Thomas Paine, she wanted him to include women really in the revolution, because she knew that they were more than just cooking and cleaning and bearing children. She was like, no, that's not all that we gonna be doing around here, bruh. So I do commend her on that. I also would like to say when Angelica showed up after she found out that Eliza had been cheated on by Hamilton, because he did cheat, when she showed up, she was like, oh, I'm here for my sister. I was like, you only mad because now it's just not you and your sister. It's you, your sister, and another one, and three's a crowd. And so that's why you upset, because low-key he cheated on you too. That's why you bust in there and tell him, I'm here for my sister. Girl, you weren't worried about that for real. You was upset because you knew now that you weren't the only woman who had caught his eye besides your sister. Also, I can wholeheartedly probably say that Eliza helped take some of the weight or pressure off of the relationship that Angelica and Hamilton had, because to begin with, Eliza had the scholar name, so that's what Hamilton needed to build his status. So now he's not with Angelica just because of her last name. Well, not with, but they were intimate in letter. But they could be intimate that way without it being surrounded by who she was and who her family was, because he already had that because of Eliza. So both of them was trifling, Hamilton and Angelica, for doing Eliza the way they did her. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, and speaking of when Hamilton cheated, honey, not Hamilton got overwhelmed when Eliza and Angelica was asking him to go uptown or upstate or wherever, just go off, honey, for the summer to their father's place or whatever. I was like, he ain't trying to be up there with his wife and his low-key mistress that is her sister. I was like, he not trying to get up there and get caught up with none of that. He was like, nah, y'all go ahead, I got work to do. I was like, nah, you don't want to get up there and get caught up in some BS. That's what that is. Now, on to the man of the hour himself, Mr. Alexander Hamilton. Okay, when this play started, right, when they were introducing him, the lead, Alexander Hamilton, is played by Lynn I don't want to get his name wrong. Hamilton is played by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who is the actual writer of Hamilton. So when he graced my screen, first of all, I'm like, okay, this is the lead role. It's a heartthrob that's about to enter my screen. I'm going to have something to look at from beginning to end. Then he stepped on stage and I was like, what is this? And I was like, don't Tyler Perry do this enough anyways, casting himself in his own movies? Like, can you just I'm pretty sure there were people who came to audition for the role. You couldn't let somebody else have it. So now I wonder, like, did you have the notion of being the lead from the time you started writing this, or did he have the notion of being the lead after he's seen the amount of talent that he had for the play? But on into the actual character of Hamilton. Like I said, Hamilton shot off at the mouth a lot, but it did get him into places that he wanted to be. It got him higher status. It had women falling at his feet. However, he was a victim of that. Well, not really a victim, honey, but well, yeah, he was a victim of really himself, I would say, because I wonder if the trauma of his father leaving, him and his mother being sick, and only he recovered from that sickness, she died, and then his cousin who he went to stay with hung himself, all of that trauma, if that kind of shaped who Hamilton was, and he self-sabotaged sometimes, is what I wonder, because there were definite moments where, like, I felt like he was getting in his own way. So I wonder if it was more of like, oh, things are going so great, things are going so good, like, this can't possibly be happening for me. Even Eliza herself was telling him, like, look at how far you've come, look at how much you've accomplished, like, basically be grateful, be thankful for the things that you have now, because you didn't have these things before. But like Miss Eliza said, he was never going to be satisfied, and he was not. He was always striving, he was always climbing, trying to get more, trying to have more. He went from being, he was the right-hand side of Washington throughout the Revolution. Then he went to, he finished his studies, he became a lawyer. Then he, I believe, then he became, I believe, the treasurer. But that wasn't enough for him, because Hamilton wanted to be, honey, in a seat where he could really, like, get something done. And then he cheated on his wife, got extorted for money, then got outed, or had to out himself before it came back on him. Which in the play, it was funny because, like, they was like, oh, you ain't gonna never be president now. Like, that jig is up. Then, he sent his son off, and he didn't know this was gonna happen, but he led his son to his death. His son had a duel with somebody who had spoken ill of Alexander himself. His son was like, we're gonna do a duel. How do I do it? Alexander says, go out there, shoot your gun in the air. Don't shoot him. If he's a gentleman, he'll do the same thing. Well, he wasn't a gentleman, and he shot his son, thus breaking Eliza's heart for the second time, right? Then went out there with his own duel with Burr, did the same thing, got himself shot, and broke her heart another time. I was like, bro, you don't put this woman through a whole lot. Like, sir, calm down. And I was with Eliza the whole time. I was like, okay, be thankful for the things you've accomplished, because like I said, he came from nothing. His own community raised money to get him to America, for him to go to school, for him to, because they believed in him. They believed in him. They believed in what he stood for, and it, of course, was never enough. He was always striving. Only after his son died, did he tell Angelica, only after his son died did he tell Eliza, like, you're enough, this is enough, I'm okay with the things that we have. And I'm just like, little do you know, your death is around the corner, because it's too late, because you spent so much of your time striving to be the best, or not really be the best, but to just be a whole lot more than what he came from. All in all, I enjoyed this play. I do apologize now because I feel like this was very sporadic. But all in all, like, the first time I watched it, like, I was ready to talk about it. Like, it was that good. And I was like, okay, this is actually what sparked, like, this idea for this segment. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna rewatch it again, which I'm, like, fresh off of watching it, like, before I turn this camera on. So that might be why my energy is, like, up here. But, like I said, the music was great. The songs were great. Low-key, there's, like Angelica saying, I'm looking for a mind at work is running through my head, like, right now. But, like, it was good from beginning to end. There was drama. Y'all know I live for me some drama. There was drama. There was action. Like I said, I liked the stage setup. I liked everything about it. If I had to complain about one thing, if I had to complain about one thing, right back to what I said about Lin-Manuel Miranda casting himself as the lead as Hamilton. I felt like his vocals weren't strong enough to carry some of the songs he was singing, especially like when he started saying his name was Alexander Hamilton, and I was like, ooh, it sounded like you're struggling a little bit to get that out. Like, the rapping for him was great. It's just the singing, I was like, we struggling to hit them notes, sir. Like, we could have easily casted somebody else to sing this, but you know, you wanted to be in the spotlight, so whatever. But I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know how you felt about Hamilton, if this was your first time, and if you have any movies or cult classics that you know of that you would like for me to watch, and come back and talk about. Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you guys later. Bye.